Come closer, closer. I want you to look at these hands. Do you see the spots? Do you see the tremors? These hands have tied shoelaces in 1925. They have held the steering wheel of a car that doesn't exist anymore. They have buried 2 wives, a brother, and more friends than I can count. I am 106 years old. I am a traveler from a time you only read about in history books. And I am standing at the finish line of life, looking back at you. You are at the starting line, or maybe you are in the middle of the race, sweating, running, chasing. And from where I sit, I see you making the same mistakes I made. I see you picking up heavy rocks and putting them in your backpack, thinking they are gold. Youth is loud. Youth is about adding. When you are young, you think the person with the most stuff wins. You think a full closet means a full life. You think a busy calendar means you are important. But age is quiet. Age is about subtracting. Age is realizing that 90% of what you are carrying is just dead weight. I still have shoes in my closet from 1983. Beautiful leather. I made them myself. Perfect stitching. But my feet are too swollen to wear them now. So why do I keep them? Because even at 106, I can be an idiot about letting go. We are all idiots about letting go. But I don't have much time left. And before I go, I want to leave you a map. I want to tell you about 10 things you need to sell, give away, or burn before you retire. And I am not talking about your grandmother's china plates or your comic book collection. I am talking about the things that are secretly eating your life. The things that own you while you think you own them. If you are 30, listen to this so you don't waste the next 40 years. If you are 60, listen to this so you can finally find peace. Here is the cold truth about what you need to get rid of. Point number 1, the shiny anchor. Trap, let's start with the biggest lie of the modern world. When you are 25 or 35, you look at a catalog or a screen and you see a boat, or a fancy RV, or a workshop full of tools you don't know how to use. And your young brain says, if I buy that object, I become that person. You think buying the boat makes you a captain. You think buying the expensive camera makes you an artist. The twist, then versus. Now when you are young, you buy these big toys because you want people to look at you. You want the neighbors to say, wow, look at that guy, he made it. You want the status. You want the identity that comes with the price tag. But when you hit 80, you realize that nobody was looking at you. They were only looking at the stuff. And worse, you realize that these toys are actually heavy anchors wrapped in gold foil. I had a friend, Frankie Duca. God rest his soul. He was a good man, but he was a fool for chrome and engines. Frankie bought a boat, a 32-footer, kept it at the marina in Sheepshead Bay. He loved talking about that boat. He would say, Sal, you got to come out on the water. The boat is my therapy. But here's the reality. Frankie took that boat out maybe 6 times a year. 6 times. The rest of the year, that boat was just an open mouth eating his money. Storage fees, insurance. The engine needed a new part. The hull needed scraping. Frankie didn't own a boat. The boat owned Frankie. It occupied a piece of his brain every single day. One day, near the end, I asked him, Frankie, when was the last time you felt the wind on your face on that deck? He couldn't remember. That is when you know you are in trouble. When you have to think hard about whether you are enjoying the thing you are bleeding cash for. He finally sold it. It took 3 years of me nagging him, but he let it go. And you know what he said to me the next day? He didn't say he missed it. He said, Sal, I feel lighter. I didn't know fiberglass was so heavy. So, here's the lesson. Look at your garage. Look at your storage unit. What is sitting there, gathering dust? The motorcycle you are too stiff to ride? The woodworking equipment you haven't touched since 2015? The hobby supplies from 3 personalities ago? Sell them. Let them go. Someone else might actually use them. But for you, they are just gravestones of a life you aren't living. In retirement, your mind is the only house you have left. Don't clutter it with worries about maintenance and storage fees. You can love the money the toys bring you, but you cannot love a machine that ignores you. Point number 2, the Museum of Ghosts now. We have to talk about the roof over your head. This is the hardest one for people to hear. When you are 40, you want the biggest house on the block. You want the 4 bedrooms, the finished basement, the big backyard with the oak tree. You want space. You want a dining room that seats 12 people because you imagine these big, loud Thanksgiving dinners. You are building a kingdom. The twist, then versus. Now when you are young, a big house is a sign of success. It is a trophy. But when you are 75 or 85, A big house is a dangerous trap. It turns from a castle into a prison. Let me tell you about my friend Carmine. A beautiful man, worked construction his whole life. Hands like leather, heart like gold. He died in 2019 at 92 years old. He had this big house in Staten Island. He raised 5 kids there. He planted a fig tree in the back in 1967. He loved that house. But by the time he was 85, Carmine was living in 3 rooms. The kitchen, the bedroom, and the bathroom. That was it. The rest of the house? It was a museum. It was full of ghosts. It was full of dust. It was full of stairs that his knees couldn't climb anymore. His children, good kids, they kept begging him, "Pop, sell the house. Come live near us. Get a condo with an elevator." And Carmine, stubborn as a mule, would say, "No, this is where your mother made Sunday gravy. This is where you took your first steps. I cannot leave the memories." You know what happened? The house beat him. He fell down those stairs in 2018, broke his hip. He never went home again. He spent his last year in a nursing home, staring at a beige wall while the house sat empty, eating his savings until the kids had to sell it after the funeral. Here is what you need to understand, and I want you to listen closely. A house is just wood, brick, and pipe. It is not your family. It is not your love. When my shop burned down in 1978, 58 years old, 30 years of hard work gone in one night, I stood in the ashes and thought my life was over. I thought my father's legacy was gone. But then I realized, the way my father taught me to read leather, the fire couldn't burn that. The way he showed me how to hold a hammer, the fire couldn't touch that. The memories are inside you. You are the container, not the building. If you are rattling around in a house that is too big, paying to heat rooms you never enter, maintaining a yard that breaks your back, you are not honoring your past. You are sacrificing your future. Sell the house. Take the money. Buy something small, something easy, something safe. Use the leftover cash to actually live. Don't be like Carmine. Don't let the stairs decide when it's time to leave. Point number 3, the rusting chariot. Let's talk about your driveway. When you are 35, a second car feels like freedom. It feels like a necessity. You need one for work, one for the school run, one for emergencies that never happen. You tell yourself, we need the flexibility, the twist, then versus. Now when you are young, a car is a tool that expands your world. But when you hit 70, a car that sits still is just a pile of metal eating your pension. I had neighbors, the Palmers. Nice couple, both retired. They had 2 cars sitting in the driveway, a big Buick and a little Toyota. They kept saying they needed both, just in case. You know how often they drove 2 cars at the exact same time? Never. They went to the grocery store together. They went to the doctor together. The Toyota sat in the driveway for so long that birds, actual birds, built a nest under the hood. I am not joking. They were paying insurance, registration, and maintenance for a birdhouse. I finally asked them, what is that car giving you? Is it giving you joy, or is it just taking up space? They sold it last year. And you know what they did with the cash? They took a cruise to Alaska. They saw glaciers. They held hands on the deck in the freezing cold and felt alive. So ask yourself this, and be honest. Would you rather have a piece of metal rusting in your driveway, or would you rather have a memory of holding your wife's hand in front of a glacier? If you are retired and you aren't commuting, sell the second car. Stop paying for just in case. Start paying for right now. Point number 4. The uniform you can't take off this one is dangerous. This one is the silent killer of men my age. When you are 20 or 40, the first question you ask a stranger at a party is, what do you do? We are obsessed with titles. I am a lawyer. I am a shoemaker. I am a manager. You wear your job like a coat of armor. It tells the world you matter. The twist, then versus. Now when you are young, your job is your identity. But when you retire, if you haven't figured out who you are without the job, you are in for a terrible shock. I retired from my shop in 2005. I was 86 years old. My hands couldn't do the fine stitching anymore. I thought I was ready. I had hobbies. I had Gloria. But for the first 6 months, I was a ghost in my own life. For 70 years, I was Sal the shoemaker. People respected me for my shoes. I respected myself for my shoes. Suddenly, I wasn't making shoes. So who was I? I would wake up and stare at the wall. What is the point of today? I thought. Gloria found me crying over my coffee one morning. Not loud crying. I'm an old Italian man. We don't do that. But tears were running down my face. She sat down and asked me the scariest question I ever heard. "Sal, who are you without the shop?" I didn't know, and that is the terrifying part. So, here is my warning to you. Do not wait until your retirement party to find out who lives inside the suit. Your job title was never who you were. It was just what you did. You are more than your paycheck. Start now. Find the parts of yourself that have nothing to do with money. Are you a gardener? A reader? A friend? Grow those parts. Water them. Give them sunlight. Because the day will come when the work stops. And if you are nothing but your job, you will end when the job ends. Don't let that happen. Point number 5. The poison you drink yourself. Now we get into the stuff you can't sell on eBay. The emotional junk. When you are young, you think holding a grudge is a sign of strength. You think, I have principles. I won't let him get away with that. You hold on to anger like it's a shield protecting your honor. The twist, then versus. Now when you are 30, a grudge feels like justice. When you are 90, you realize a grudge is just a poison you drink while expecting the other person to die. I didn't speak to my brother-in-law, Marco, for 30 years. 3 decades. Do you want to know why? I don't remember. That is the punchline. I literally do not remember. It was something about money, or maybe a disrespectful comment at Christmas. Something that seemed life or death at the time. Marco died in 1998. My sister Rosa told me after the funeral. She said, "You missed it, Sal. You missed the chance to say goodbye." I stood there, 80 years old, realizing I had thrown away 30 years of brotherhood over nothing. And it didn't just cost me Marco. It cost me time with Rosa, who was stuck in the middle. It cost me a relationship with my niece and nephew. So listen to me. Pride is the most expensive thing you own. It costs you love. It costs you time. And it pays you absolutely nothing. Do you have someone you aren't speaking to? A brother? A friend? A child? Pick up the phone. Today. Not someday. Today. Swallow your pride. It tastes bitter going down, but the peace you feel afterwards is sweet. Do not let a gravestone be the thing that ends your argument. Point number 6. The empty theater of this brings me to the heaviest anchor of them all, the fear of other people's eyes. When you are young, you walk through life like you are on a stage. You dress for the audience. You talk for the audience. You make choices based on what the neighbors, or your boss, or your Instagram followers will think. You are terrified of looking foolish. The twist, then versus. Now when you are 20, you think everyone is watching you. When you are 106, you know the truth. Nobody was watching. They were all too busy worrying about themselves. When I married Gloria in 1991, I was 72. She was 62. I was an Italian man. She was a black woman. In our neighborhood at that time, people talked. Oh, they talked. They whispered in the grocery store. They stared at us in church. My own son, stubborn Enzo, didn't speak to me for 2 years because he thought I was disrespecting the family name. And you know what I did? I held Gloria's hand, and I walked down 86th Street like I owned the pavement. Because I had already buried one wife I loved. I had already seen how short life is. I realized that if I spent my final years worrying about the opinions of people who didn't love me, I would be a fool. Gloria used to say, "Sal, the people who matter don't mind, and the people who mind don't matter." She was right. Most people aren't thinking about you. Stop performing for an empty theater. Wear the weird shirt. Dance badly at the wedding. Date the person who makes your heart beat fast, no matter what they look like. The opinions of strangers are worthless currency. You cannot spend them. You cannot eat them. And they certainly won't keep you warm at night. Sell your fear. It is worthless. Point number 7. The bank of dad, this one is going to make some of you angry. Good. Be angry. Then think about it. When you are 40 or 50, you think love means protection. You think love means fixing. Your child falls. You catch them. Your adult child makes a bad investment. You open your wallet. You tell yourself, it's my job to help. The twist, then versus. Now when you are young, you think giving money solves the problem. When you are 106, you realize that by solving the problem, you stole their strength. My son Enzo Jr., he is 80 now, still stubborn as a mule, just like his old man. But when he was 32, he came to me. He was scared. He owed people money. He had made mistakes. And what did I do? I wrote the check. I didn't even make him explain. I thought I was being a good father. Papa will fix it, I said. 3 years later, same thing. 5 years after that, same thing. Because I taught him that failure wasn't real. I taught him that Papa was a safety net that never broke. It wasn't until Gloria sat me down She had this way of looking at you that could stop a train, and she said, "Sal, you aren't helping him. You are crippling him. He is a grown man, but he won't figure it out because you won't let him." That was 1994. The next time Enzo asked, I said no. I told him, "I love you, but you need to fix this yourself." He didn't speak to me for 6 months. It broke my heart. It kept me up at night. But you know what? He never asked for money again. And 20 years later, he thanked me. He said it was the moment he actually became a man. So, look at your bank account. Look at your adult children. Are you helping them grow, or are you paying them to stay small? There are loans for houses. There are loans for cars. There are no loans for your retirement. Stop giving away the safety you need to people who have decades to build their own. Point number 8, the tight grip. My daughter Lucia is 78, sharp as a tack. But when she was raising her own kids, I drove her crazy. When you are young, you are obsessed with the steering wheel. You think you can control the river. You have opinions on everything: how people should dress, how they should vote, how they should raise their kids. You think if you grip the wheel tight enough, you won't crash. The twist, then versus. Now when you are 30, control feels like safety. When you are 90, you realize control is an illusion. The river goes where it wants. One day Lucia snapped at me. She said, "Papa, let me make my own mistakes." And it hurt. It hurt because she was right. I wanted to protect her from every wrong turn. But that is not love. That is fear. I had to learn, and I am still learning, that you can offer advice, but you cannot force wisdom. You can love people, but you cannot live their lives for them. The tighter you grip the sand, the faster it slips through your fingers. Sell your need to control the outcome. Trust the people you raised. Trust the people you love. Let them fall. They will get up. That is what humans do. That is how we learn to walk. Point number 9. The invisible stitch. I made shoes for 60 years. Thousands of shoes. And for years, I would lose sleep over a single stitch that was slightly crooked. A piece of leather that wasn't perfectly matched. When you are young, you think perfection is the goal. You wait until the project is perfect to launch it. You wait until the house is perfect to invite people over. You hide your mistakes because you are scared of being seen as a failure. The twist, then versus. Now when you are young, perfectionism is a badge of honor. When you are old, you see perfectionism for what it really is: fear wearing a nice suit. My father used to tell me, "Sal, the shoe doesn't have to be perfect. It has to fit. It has to hold together. It has to let them walk where they need to go. Done is better than perfect." A life lived with mistakes is better than a life not lived because you were too scared to mess up. Stop obsessing over the details that nobody else sees. Stop waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time is a myth. The crooked stitch? That's character. That's proof a human hand was there. Take off the suit of perfection. Get your hands dirty. Make the mistake. Just keep moving. Point number 10. The calendar that lies. This is the last one. And this is the one that will make you cry if you don't listen. Sell your someday. When you are 20, 30, even 50, you have a list in your head. Someday I will go back to Napoli. Someday I will learn to play the piano. Someday I will write down my mother's recipes. Someday I will tell my son I am proud of him. The twist, then versus. Now when you are young, someday feels like a promise. It's a comforting thought. I have time. But when you are 106, you know the truth. Someday is a thief. It steals your life while promising to give it back later. I never went back to Napoli. I can't play the piano. My mother's recipes died with her. And my son Enzo, I finally told him I was proud of him. But I was 93 years old. He was 67. A 67-year-old man crying in my kitchen because he had waited his whole life to hear those words. Why did I wait? Why do any of us wait? Someday is not on the calendar. Sunday is. Monday is. Someday doesn't exist. The only days that exist are the ones you are breathing in right now. Here is your homework. Get a piece of paper. Write down 3 things you are saving for someday. A trip, a conversation, a forgiveness. Now cross out someday and write this month. I am serious. Do it. Because the clock doesn't stop for anyone. Not for me. Not for you. We have covered a lot of ground, you and I. We sold the big house. We sold the expensive toys. We sold the need to control. We sold the grudges. We sold the fear. That is 10 anchors we just cut loose. Can you feel the boat rising? Can you feel how much lighter you are? You know what Gloria said to me near the end? She was 95. She could feel the darkness coming. She grabbed my hand. Her grip was still strong, and she said, "Sal, promise me something. Promise me you won't stop laughing." And I promised her. I promised her I would keep laughing. I would keep living. I would keep choosing joy. Not because life is easy. My knees hurt. My friends are gone. The world is loud and confusing. But because bitterness is a waste of the precious time I have left. That is the final thing to sell. Sell your bitterness. It costs too much. It rots the container it is held in. Go call someone you love. Go say the thing you have been choking on. Go book the trip. Eat the cake. Forgive the idiot. And do it now. Not someday. Now. Because I am 106, and I am telling you, the finish line comes faster than you think. Don't arrive heavy. Arrive empty, used up, worn out, and laughing. Now go. Go live your life. I'll see you next time. Disclaimer: the following message is based on a lifetime of observation and generational experience. It is a reflection on living, not professional medical or psychological advice.